So I'd like to welcome everybody to the third day of the virtual GSE conference for GS UK. This is the IMS stream on this third day, and this is the first session of the day of two that we've got running today for the IMS stream. So thanks for joining everybody. So this session is going to be on IMS Managed ACBs, and we've got real world customer pain points and their solutions. And I'm delighted to say that Subhash Sharka from BMC, our esteemed colleague, is joining us for this one and going to take us through the slides for this one. He's a senior product manager for BMC in the AMI IMS space. If you've got any questions, then please do verbally, so just unmute yourself and then ask that question. We're delighted to get questions during the presentation, and also if you want to just put them in the chat, you could do that and then I could announce them if you like. So either or approach is fine. Just remember to unmute yourself, and just bear in mind, everybody, that this session is recorded, so just bear that in mind. So it's over to you, Subhadesh. Thanks.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for the introduction. So as Tom mentioned, I'm working for BMC Software, and I'm working in the capacity of a senior product manager or owner, whatever you call it, for all the BMC AMI data for IMS portfolio of components, products, and solutions. So having said that, let's dive into the session right away, because as Dom mentioned, the theme of this particular session is in the form of stories, right? So all the stories are going to be around IMS Managed ACBs. So as you know, IMS Managed ACBs is knocking at our door, right? Just, I guess, June of 2025, or maybe July of this year. With when IBM announces the new version of 15.6 of IMS. And if any customer wants to move to that particular version, they have to be on IMS Managed ACBs. So it's almost there. Some of our customers have already been running their production environments in IMS Managed ACB mode for a while now, maybe 2 years. Some customers maybe started 6 months before. Some of them have not even been in production with IMS Managed ACBs. Some are just trying out maybe catalog in their production environment. So there are different sets of customers out there in the IMS land some of them are pretty matured in their production environment using IMS Managed ACBs. Some of them are barely starting, right? What we have noticed is over the years, while working on different IMS Managed ACB problems, customers come to us and have told us their business requirements, right? The problems they're facing with IMS Managed ACBs, and if in this case BMC as a vendor could help them. I'm sure the other vendors have had their share of interesting stories regarding IMS Managed ACBs as well. So what I've done over here is I've compiled a list of 10 interesting features that we have delivered in terms of IMS Managed ACBs that I believed were interesting and challenging, and solved some real world critical business problems for some of the bigger IMS customers worldwide, right? And I've compiled all those 10 items in the form of stories, and I'm going to present those stories to you. So as I said, there are 10 different stories. So I try to quickly go through them in the interest of time. But that doesn't mean that if you have any questions, you cannot ask them. Please feel free to ask me if you have any questions. So moving on, the first story, right? We cannot reveal the customer names, obviously, right? So in this case, the customer is an IT business, financial technology services company based out of, headquartered in USA. And the business problem was In our BMC AMI fast path for IMS utilities, we use the catalog API DFS3 CatQ to extract metadata from the directory in an IMS managed ACB environment. That's what we predominantly do. Now we have seen customer cases where huge amount of metadata resulted in abents like S878, S40D, D for dog. Now, this particular customer had opened a case with BMC when they had run into various S878 abents due to huge number of extended attribute in the DBD or PSB members of ACB Live, right? So we realized soon after that a similar problem could exist in all BMCME fastpath for IMS products while operating in an IMS managed ACB environment, because as you know, huge metadata in DBD and PSBs is predominantly the case with most of the big IMS customers worldwide. So that could result in abents in the API execution, and our BMC-AMI fastpath for IMS utilities will become unusable in such circumstances. So that's predominantly the business problem that was reported first by this particular customer. And then we realized that this could be a problem, for many customers down the path. So we worked on a solution. So the solution that we provided had to do with, IBM had added a new parameter called ext attr equal to none, right? Extended attributes equal to none in the DFS3 CatQ catalog API via APAR PH39492 in order to help skip reading extended attribute, which is anyways not required by most of the BMC-AMI fastpath for IMS utilities. Except there is an exception, the BMC-AMI fastpath indexer for IMS, or the PFX, the BMC PFX tool, as it is popularly known as, that requires access to the extended attributes. But apart from PFX, most of the BMC-AMI fastpath for IMS utilities don't really always require access to extended attributes in an MSCB and managed ACBs environment. So what we did was we have exploited the new ext attr equal to none parameter in situations when extended attribute is not required. For example, for the non-PFX utilities, right? Additional storage may not always, what we found out was additional storage may not always cause it's 878 abents, but if extended attribute is not required in some cases, we should not request it from the API. And that's what we did by making use of the ext attr equal to none parameter, which IBM added into the DFS3 CatQ catalog API. So that was the solution that was provided by us. And how did the solution help? So utilizing the new parameter that IBM had added in the catalog API DFS3 CatQ has helped provide storage constraint relief, number one. The enhancement allowed for the execution of our BMC-AMI fastpath for IMS utilities without facing any storage resource constraints. That was the primary complaint, right, from the customer. The enhancement has provided storage relief in situations when extended attribute is not really required for the execution of our BMC-AMI fastpath for IMS utilities. Now, as more and more customers start trying out IMS managed ACBs in their higher level environment or environments where a significantly huge volume of metadata is expected, the enhancement will help all the BMC-AMI fastpath for IMS utilities to continue to work without any roadblock, which otherwise could result in hard failure without any circumstance, without any circumvention, which we obviously don't want, right? So this enhancement, in short, long story short, this enhancement helps avoid S878 and S40D abents, which are primarily related to storage constraints in customer environments, which can otherwise prove to be hard failures for our customers. So that's the story. And this initiative was primarily, so we group stories, internally. We group stories under different initiatives. And so this particular initiative falls under what we categorize as an user experience initiative, right? Okay, So that's about story number one. Moving on to story number two. Again, the customer industry segment, in this particular case is the customer is from the finance and insurance sector. The industry subsegment is banking, right? And again, uh, the customer is headquartered out of USA. Okay, so moving on to the story. What is the business problem that this particular customer had? So what we found out was as customers transition to the IMS managed ACBs environment, there is a growing need for more flexibility, especially in test environments, right? We have talked to so many customers, and most of our customers tell us this. Because if you remember, in the traditional ACB Live environment, the customers really had a lot of flexibility in terms of how they could use the ACB Live. Not so much in IMS Managed ACB environment, right? You have got only two directories, staging and active directory, to work out of. So what our customers have been constantly telling us is, we are losing that flexibility. Can you do something? So as customers transition to the IMS Managed ACBs environment, there is a growing need for more flexibility, especially in test environments. To read the DMB in an IMS Managed ACB environment from the staging directory while using the BMCME fastpath for IMS products. And this is okay. So here I am saying BMCME fastpath for IMS products. It's not related to fastpath. It should also cover the full function suite of products. This particular customer was interested in in having us deliver a solution for their fastpath products, right? So which they were using. So I've just stuck to fastpath for IMS products over here. It should actually cover the full gamut of full function and fastpath products. Now, the whole idea is to provide more flexibility to the customer in controlling the default way to read the directory, right? So for now, if we have a keyword called catalog underscore directory. So for now, if catalog underscore directory equal to staging is specified in our products, it means that the control blocks will be fetched from the staging directory first. And if it is not found in the staging directory, then an attempt will be made to then find the control block in the active directory. That's how it works right now. I'm not right now, before we deliver the fix. Some customers might not want that to happen. For example, this particular customer, they might prefer that if a control block is not found in the staging directory, then end with a critical error. That's what this customer was telling us. So they were telling us, if you don't find it in the staging directory, don't go and try to find it in the search and find it in the active directory. If you do not find it in the staging directory, end there with a critical error, right? Give me an indicator. Hence, it can be a good idea to give such flexibility to the customers to control such situations. And we thought that, this is not a requirement from one customer alone. This is going to be a requirement from many, many customers, as they realize that there are several constraints that they have to go through when they migrate to an IMS managed ACB environment. So we decided to provide a solution to this problem. So what solution did we provide? Now, our enhancement provided our customers with a higher level of flexibility in the IMS managed ACBs environment. We added even more flexibility to the catalog underscore directory keyword by allowing the user to control what happens if the control block required by the BMCME fastpath for IMS utility is not present in the specified directory, right? So catalog underscore directory equal to staging comma y for yes, instructs. So we added these various options, right? So we added an option wherein you can specify a value of catalog underscore directory equal to staging comma y for yes, which instructs the BMCME fastpath for IMS utility to check the staging directory first, and if it doesn't contain what is needed, then it goes to the active directory. Conversely, you can also mention catalog underscore directory equal to staging comma n for no. it results in a critical error if the required control block is not present in the staging directory. No attempt is then made to obtain the control block from the active directory, which was the primary requirement for this particular customer. So how did the solution help the customer, and probably is helping other customers also? So with this enhancement of ours, customers can now closely associate the use of the BMC AME FastPath for IMS products in an IMS managed ACB environment to how they can be used in the more traditional non-IMS managed ACB environments, right? Leading to a smoother and more adaptable workflow, right? So as I said, they were just missing the flexibility that was present in the traditional non-IMS managed ACB live environment, and we are trying to give them as much flexibility as we can while operating out of IMS managed ACBs environment. The greater flexibility that this particular enhancement provides to the customers in controlling the default way to read the directory eventually comes in handy by preventing future problems, right? So for example, and this was one of the use cases which I'm quoting as an example. So for example, a DBA uses the build function. So we have a build function in our BMC-ME FastPath for IMS utilities to implement FPSI or PFX index changes. And I'm not going into what FPSI and PFX are. So PFX is basically the BMC FastPath secondary index, right? And so that's the BMC version of the FastPath secondary index, which is popularly known as PFX indexes, and IBM's one is called FastPath secondary index, or FPSI, right? So we have an utility called the build function, and when a DBA uses the build function to implement FPSI or PFX index changes, but for whatever reason, let's say he or she forgets to load the updated version of the DMB or DMBs into the staging directory as part of normal procedures for making such changes, right? And these types of mistakes do happen. I mean, we have noticed these mistakes happen. Uh, while assuming this customer does not update the active directory until after indexes are rebuilt successfully, right? So if catalog underscore directory equal to staging comma n for no was specified, this error would be detected immediately, right? And this was primarily the use case that drove that particular customer to reach out to us, and ask us if we could provide them with more flexibility. So again, we categorized this initiative to be falling under user experience. Okay, so moving on to story number 3, and this is again, the customer is an IT business, financial technology services company based out of USA. This is an interesting problem. The business problem is, and this is specific to one of the BMC products. The previous two problems were quite generic in nature, in terms of they were affecting both full function and FastPath suite of products. It doesn't matter whether the customer was using BMC product, they could have faced the same problem in other products also. In the those two problems were quite generic in nature. This problem is, I guess, is specific to a product called BMC AME FastPath online restructure for IMS, right? And what you can do, I'm not going to talk about what the product does, but a very high level overview of what this product can do is you can use this product to make structural changes to your FastPath databases, and you don't need to bring your databases offline, right? So you can do those structural changes online. There is a very, very small window of downtime. It's just maybe a few seconds, depending on what type of activities you are doing when we swap data sets, right? But primarily you can make structural changes without bringing your databases down. So that's about what that product does. But talking about the business problem, The customer wanted to run the prepare step, and that this particular product, there are three different steps that you can run: prepare, and then there is the restructure step at the end, right? So, and the prepare is the first step. So the customer wanted to run the prepare step of BMC AME FastPath online restructure for IMS multiple times to refine what changes will happen during the actual restructure processing, right? So prepare is the first step, and restructure, where the actual restructure happens, is the last step, right? Mm, So the customer wanted to run the prepare step multiple times in order to narrow down on what changes they actually need to make happen during the restructure processing. However, this added entries to the IMS catalog with every run. So every time they were running that prepare step, it was adding entries to the IMS catalog, right? Which was actually not needed, right? Because the customer was just running those multiple steps, multiple prepare steps, multiple times in order to just drill down or focus down on the final changes that they need to make to the FastPath database, right? But with every run, unnecessary entries were being added to the IMS catalog. Now, the customer wanted to avoid adding those unnecessary IMS catalog entries. That was the business problem. Now, the solution that we provided, the customer had opened a case with BMC with the concern that they were unable to run prepare multiple times in an IMS managed ACB environment without any unnecessary intermediate entries getting added to the IMS catalog. We delivered an enhancement so that the customer could run the prepare step of BMC AME FastPath online restructure for IMS multiple times in an IMS managed ACB environment without adding unnecessary intermediate entries to the IMS catalog, and thereby not, unnecessarily um, trafficking the IMS catalog, so as to say. So how did our solution help? Um, Customers were able to test out their restructure by executing multiple prepare runs without getting extra unneeded IMS catalog entries, right? So that's what we did. So the problem was very specific to this particular BMC product, and we delivered a very specific solution to that, right? If we are to generalize this, unnecessary intermediate entries were getting added to IMS catalog, and we delivered an enhancement that stopped the addition of those unnecessary extra entries into the IMS catalog. Again, we categorized that this initiative would better categorize to fall under an user experience, because that's what it helped do for the customer. It provided a better user experience for the customer.
So Bashish, we've got a
Yeah,
question from Anders. It says, "What
sure.
was it an instance that was added?" So that's the question from Anders.
So okay, is it in chat?
Yes.
Okay, maybe was it an
I can.
instance? Yes, that was an instance
Yeah.
that was added. So yeah, with every run, Anders, thanks for the question. With every run, instances were getting added unnecessarily. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And that's why the customer came back to us saying that BMC, you need to stop doing this. You are just keeping on adding unnecessary instances to the catalog database. You cannot do that, and we stopped doing that, because I guess if there is somebody who has used this particular product, the first step, the prepare step, is basically meant to do that. You as a customer, you are supposed to run the prepare step multiple times in order to just narrow down on the changes that the restructure step is going to apply to the actual FastPath database, right? So if you run it 20 times and we are adding 20 unnecessary entries, that's not good, right? So the customer told us about that, and we stopped doing that. So I just pasted pasted this QR code on this slide because, as I said, this was a very specific problem to a BMC product. And if somebody is not familiar with how BMC AME FastPath online restructure for IMS works, there is a very short, I guess 7 to 8 minutes of YouTube video, and you can just click on this QR code if you need to. Anyways, I'll be sharing the slides with Dom later. So if you want to read what this product does at a very high level, you will be able to do that by clicking on this QR code. It takes you to the YouTube video hosted on an official BMC YouTube channel. And then this we have got our modern user interfaces, right? Our advisor type of products, wherein we have a nice graphical user interface. And we have got this for this particular product, PMCME FastPath online restructure. We have built an online restructure wizard in our graphical user interface, so that people not comfortable with using ISPF, and can actually go to the GUI and run the different processes of FastPath online restructure using this particular wizard. Again, there is a nice short video, YouTube video hosted on BMC official BMC YouTube channel. If you wish, you can take a look at that later. Okay, perfect. Um, by the way, this particular video, this online restructure wizard, this YouTube video tutorial, if I can remember on top of my head, it guides you through the process of using the BMCME database advisor for IMS wizard in order to create the jobs, right, needed to run BMCME FastPath online restructure for IMS to perform an online structure change to an IMS FastPath database online. That's what it does. It guides you through the steps of creating the JCL. Okay, enough of that. Moving to story number 4. The customer is again IT business, financial technology services company based out of USA. And oh, by the way, I just forgot to tell. I'll just go back to the initial slides once quickly. For some of these enhancements, I have mentioned, and I have not talked about it, but I mentioned when was the enhancement delivered, and I have also mentioned the PTF number for most of the cases, right? So somebody wanting to use these enhancements, using our products and wanting to use these enhancements, will find this information useful. I'm not reading those out, but you will find those information in my slides. So yeah, moving to story number 4. Again, the business problem? The business problem, again, it's the same product, BMCME FastPath online restructure for IMS. The problem reported by the customer was due to the way BMCME FastPath online restructure for IMS was initially designed to find the list of affected PSBs from the staging directory using the IBM API DFS3 cat queue in the prepare step, right? So this and the prepare step was taking too long to complete, and this was because of the initial design that was in place for this particular product, right? This was a performance problem, and it was important to reduce the elongated prepare execution time, right? So the solution provided, we added a keyword in PFP ops DD. This particular product, there is a specific DD called PFP ops, PFP options DD. So we added a keyword in that PFP ops or PFP options DD to allow the suppressing of the message, which prints out the list of affected PSBs in the prepare step. Now, is that a viable solution? We are just suppressing the message that's listing out those affected PSBs. Well, it turns out that it is, because determining the list of affected PSBs is not mandatory in an IMS managed ACBs environment for the online restructure prepare step. While this is deemed mandatory in the non-IMS managed ACB, if this particular product is used in a non-IMS managed ACB, it's not necessary, in an IMS managed ACB environment. So we made it optional. Printing those messages optional. So how did the solution help? So the enhancement provided the ability to complete prepare in a comparatively much shorter period, even when a significantly large number of members existed in the staging directory in an IMS managed ACBs environment. This was especially helpful when prepare needed to be run multiple times. As I said, right, the customer will usually run prepare multiple times. So previously, the performance problem was really aggravating a lot, right? So this enhancement was really was especially helpful when prepare needed to be run multiple times, and it would have been quite unsatisfactory had prepare taken a lot of time to complete its execution. So in an IMS managed ACBs environment, there is no real need to find the list of affected PSBs from the staging directory at prepared time. And so it was usually okay for the customer to suppress the message which printed the list of affected PSBs in prepare. And as you would have probably guessed, this initiative fell under what we call performance and availability, because really it was impacting uh, the performance of the product in the customer's environment. Okay. uh, Moving on, story number 5. This story is a short summary is use of the autocomplete feature in Spoofy in BMC ME Change Manager for IMS to quickly produce valid IMS SQL queries. So we have a product called BMC ME Change Manager for IMS, and this is that advisor type of product, which we have a nice modern graphical user interface, a web-based application. And we have a spoofy, a db2 like spoofy application in this product, BMCME Change Manager for IMS, where you can and that is a workflow. There are nice workflows which can help you produce valid SQL queries there. And we have recently developed the autocomplete feature, and this is the story I'm going to talk about now. So again, the business problem, the spoofy feature was added to BMC ME Change Manager for IMS in order to support IMS managed ACBs. The spoofy feature was meant to help users to get to or modify different schema details of IMS components stored in the IMS catalog. As you can understand, the IMS catalog, the structure of the IMS catalog is huge, right? So we wanted people to be able to use it, but in a much user-friendly way. And that's why we built the spoofy feature in BMC ME Change Manager for IMS, so that the customers could get to or modify the different schema details of the IMS components stored in the IMS catalog much more in a much more friendly manner. Now, creating SQL using the BMCME Change Manager for IMS spoofy feature was quite a challenging task. Even then, it turned out to be a challenging task due to the huge and complex structure of the IMS catalog database. Right. So that was the business problem. So we thought about providing a solution to this problem, because eventually, as you know, the end goal is not to move. I mean, to move to an IMS managed ACB is just the intermediate step, right? As you probably know by now, the end goal. I mean, IBM wants to get away with the gen processes, right? So there will be a time when IMS will be managed only by using IMS SQL queries. That's the end goal, right? So we thought that this is a feature which more and more customers are going to use eventually, try to get comfortable with. And so we wanted to make it more user friendly. So the solution that we provided was, we built an autocomplete feature. So an autocomplete feature was introduced in Spoofy in BMCME Change Manager for IMS to support IMS managed ACBs. Now, you can probably guess what this feature is. The autocomplete feature is by its name. The autocomplete feature was designed to assist users in writing correct and valid SQL statements the first time by offering suggestions for keywords, table names, column names, and other relevant SQL constructs. So it basically minimal effort from the user side, maximum output is the mantra for the autocomplete feature, right? That's what we have tried to accomplish, right? It helps you select tables, keywords, column names. We have tried to make it as much user friendly as possible. And we help the user build the IMS SQL right the very first time. How did the solution help? The autocomplete feature in Spoofy in BMCME Change Manager for IMS has helped users construct their SQL queries more efficiently by suggesting possible keywords or code snippets as they type in, right? So these are some of the features that we have built into this particular autocomplete feature in Spoofy. It has helped save time and reduce the chances of SQL syntax errors by providing suggestions based on the context of the SQL query being written. Because as you can probably understand, these IMS SQL queries are not really the typical DB to SQL queries that you have used, right? There are subtle differences, and if you are trying to use it for the very first time, there are very good chances that mistakes will creep in to the queries, right? So by using this autocomplete feature, and users have told us that it has helped save them time and reduce the chances of SQL syntax errors by providing suggestions based on the context of the SQL query being written. So we save the context as well. Now, it has enhanced user productivity and helped users write SQL queries more quickly and accurately. Now, I have just tried to capture a simple screenshot of how the autocomplete feature looks like. So if you can see over here, this is our main web-based, the modern graphical user interface web-based application. This is which is primarily called BMCME Command Center for IMS. You can see over here. And then we have got these 4 products, right? Change Manager for IMS, Database Advisor for IMS, System Administration for IMS, and Energizer for IMS Connect in 4 different tabs. So this spoofy feature is a part of Change Manager for IMS, and the autocomplete feature is a part of the spoofy, right? So over here you can see under the spoofy tab, this is a snippet of how the autocomplete feature helps you create correct SQL queries, in a seamless manner the first time, right? And there are several useful features built into this. It's not possible for me to cover everything, and neither is the intention of this webinar to cover what is there in the spoofy feature. But if you want to learn more about the BMCME Change Manager for IMS Spoofy autocomplete feature, we have built a nice short YouTube video, talking about how it can help you build correct SQL queries. Okay. So moving on to story number 6, multiple customers. I'm not going to read out all of this. You can probably see banking customers, insurance customers, industrial products customers. There are several customers over here, spanning different geographies. APAC, USA, Europe, several geographies. So uh, these numbers are mapped, right? So for example, customer number 1, the geography is Australia. Customer number 2, the geography is North America, USA. Customer number 3, EMEA, Germany. So it's mapped, one-on-one mapping. So you can read through it at your leisure time. But essentially, the business problem was, as an IMS DBA, I want some tooling that can help me identify old IMS control blocks and catalog entries so that I can remove obsolete entries from my IMS environment. As I said, multiple customers have reached out to us with this business problem, right? I need some sort of tooling, and BMC help us with this. Provide me some tooling which can help me identify old IMS control blocks and catalog entries, because my main problem is I want a method to identify and then remove obsolete entries from my IMS environment, right? So my DBD, PSB, and SCB libraries and the IMS catalog need to be cleaned up by identifying obsolete entries so that I can remove such entries that are no longer used. I need some tooling that can help me trace discrepancies between the catalog and directories. So this was the core business problem. The solution that we provided is, and this is a very recent solution, as you can see, delivered in October of 2024, right? PTF number is this and available with RSL BMC RSL 2501. So the solution is we have delivered a catalog synchronization audit report utility that can help identify obsolete resources in DBD Live and PSB Live and SCB Live and catalog. Users can now use the catalog synchronization report to trace discrepancies between the catalog and directories, right? So catalog synchronization audit report utility is the utility that can help you to do this. How did the solution help? Well, number one, the solution helps regain space in my libraries, DBD Live, PSB Live, and SCB Live, and the IMS catalog. But that is not the main use of this particular solution. Most importantly, the solution prevents obsolete entries from inadvertently getting used, right? That's the primary usefulness of this particular enhancement, right? And I know I didn't do a justice to what this particular utility does, but this utility can be run in batch, and here is a sample JCL snippet, right? So in the plugin DD, you just mention cat audit, and these are some of the standard things, which you do. The important thing is you have to specify cat audit keyword under plugin DD, and it would invoke the catalog synchronization audit report, right? And this is a sample catalog synchronization audit report output, right? These so we identify the type, we identify the object name, the object, the type of the object, PSB or DBD, and then the comment, the problem, right? So for example, this PSB number 2, this is obsolete, active directory member, right? So for this DBD is out of date, header record. So we provide a description of what the problem is, and we all even produce a summary report, right? So number of obsolete active directory members, number of obsolete staging directory members, number of orphaned header records, all sorts of things. We provide a nice summary too. And if you want to learn more about this, again, there is a short, crisp, nice YouTube video that we have prepared. You can just go through the video, right? All these YouTube videos are hosted officially on BMC mainframe YouTube channels. So, those are secured, right? I mean to say that those are secured videos. We host them officially on BMC official YouTube channels. Okay. So story number 7. Well, by the way, this one, the initiative is user experience, and I guess, yeah, both the previous stories, the initiative falls under user experience. Now, story number 7. How am I doing with time? Oh, yeah. Story number 7, Ansible playbooks. We have developed, BMC has developed Ansible playbooks, which IMS customers can choose to use to aid in automating their migration from the traditional user-managed DBD Live, PSB Live, SCB Live to IMS Managed ACBs environment. The Ansible playbooks developed by BMC can help IMS customers leverage the power of automation to simplify and accelerate the transition process, thereby ensuring accuracy and efficiency throughout the customer's IMS environments. So if you want to take a look at these Ansible playbooks, you can reach out to your BMC support representative, or you can reach out to me. This is my email ID, if you want to make use of those Ansible playbooks. And this initiative falls under automation innovation. And we did a webinar. I guess, maybe in September of 2024. I don't remember on top of my head right now. Maybe it was August or September timeframe of 2024. And we delved deep into how to leverage the power of automation using Ansible playbooks developed by us to streamline the migration from the traditional user-managed DBD Live, PSB Live, SCB Live environment to IMS Managed ACB environment. And if you want to listen to that environment, it's, I guess, around well, close to an hour. So it's a webinar, right? So it's comparatively longer. You have to invest maybe around 45 minutes to an hour. This is the YouTube video, again posted on official BMC YouTube channel. So no question, no concern about security. So Dom, do you want me to stop, or I mean, how do you want me to proceed? Because I know I have reached the end of time.
Yeah, I mean, you can go on for probably 5 minutes if that's all right, because there's other
Okay,
obviously sessions that people have to, go to.
right,
So we'll give you
right.
5 minutes if that's all right.
Right, and I'd be sharing this presentation with Tom, so you can go through all of this. I won't cover story number 8 because it would take me some time, as you can see. It's a command-based story, right? So it would take me some time to cover this. What I would instead do is I'd cover a shorter story, because I can cover only one more story, which is probably I'd cover story number 9. Not okay, yeah, story number 9 is actually related to story number 10. So the previous story. So what I do is, let me cover the story number 10, and then I can hand it over to Tom. Right. So story number 10, I'll quickly cover. Again, it's related to BMCME Change Manager for IMSTM, popularly used to be called as Delta Plus. Right. In the old days, most of the customers know this product as Delta Plus. It was renamed to BMCME Change Manager for IMSTM. So Delta Plus, we have built a backup directory feature. And this is a very interesting one. So BMCME Change Manager for IMSTM, in short, CM-IMSTM or Delta Plus, maintains backup copies of the PSB and DMB objects in a backup directory. Right now, you might be wondering what this backup directory is. I know about an active directory and a staging directory. Where did BMC incorporate this backup directory from? Now, the backup directory is an optional feature in Delta List processing. IMS is not aware of the backup directory. Now, what this backup directory does is it takes a backup copy of the PSB and DMB objects before the IMS active directory gets updated. So it's meant to do what it is meant to do. It takes a backup of the PSB and DMB objects before the IMS active directory gets updated. It can retain multiple generations for a PSB or DMB object in the backup directory. And it can help you revert the PSB or DMB changes from the backup directory, right? Exactly what a backup directory is meant to do. Right. So IMS is not aware of this. We handle all of this, very nicely playing with IMS. Now, this directory is a PDSE, a partition dataset extended dataset, which is optional. As I told you, it's optional. And it is only used by BMCME Change Manager for IMSTM, CM-IMSTM, or Delta Plus product. Right. So obviously you have to have a license to that product to be able to use it. The backup directory is defined as a V2 PDSE, and it uses a PDSE feature called member generation, which allows multiple generations for a member. It retains generations up to a limit which you can specify by the max gens parameter when the PDSE is allocated. Right. So it actually depends on you, depends on the user, what value has been specified for the max gens parameter while defining the PDSE, while allocating the PDSE. And the backup directory permanently deletes the older generations if their number is over the generation limit, right? It's if it is over that max gens parameter value limit. The IMS catalog and the IMS active directory component have a one-to-one relationship. We know that. A shared IMS catalog and IMS active directory have a one-to-one relationship too. However, multiple IMS databases share the IMS catalog and directory, and the same holds true for the backup directory. So again, IMS is not aware of the backup directory. It's us, the Delta Plus product, which plays nicely with IMS in order to hide those features and do those backups for you, before the IMS active directory actually gets updated. And later you can use those backup copies to revert back the changes if you need to. Right. Again, if you want to learn more about the backup feature, backup directory feature, here is a nice short YouTube video officially hosted on our YouTube channels, which you can go through. I'll share this presentation with Dom right after this. So, yeah, so I think Tom, I'll not go through this, resources. The users can probably go through them at a leisure, but there are different IMS managed ACB resources that we have produced. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Tom. Thank you. Thanks for the time, everyone.
Yes, thanks very much for that. I know we went over a bit, but that's fine. So yeah, that was interesting. I think you've certainly got some points there for some of the PTFs that people will be interested in. Obviously, they'll be on the slides available, and this is recorded, so you will be able to get those PTF numbers from the slides that you've given for the different instances that you were talking about, challenges that have been overcome. But thanks for taking the time today on this. I know it's your holiday today, so thanks for doing it. Appreciated, and thanks everybody for any final question from anybody. Nobody's shouted, so I think we're all right. Unless we've got any final questions from anybody, just shout now. Okay, so thanks very much everybody for attending, and we've got another session coming up later for some of you at 4:15 this afternoon UK time. But much appreciated everybody for this session, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks everyone for your time. Thanks, Dom. Bye.